So for me, basically, in summary, lifetime access is quite nice. As I said, the support with finances was actually also a selling point. To me, it didn't come across as, one of those courses where it's yeah, you have to pay, we're here to make money kind of thing. It came across as, look, as much as we are running a business that has operational cost, we want to get people to study this, and hence will probably help somehow financially. That was the second selling point. My name is John Moss. I'm from South Africa. I'm currently leading a team in an investment banking that looks after the trading systems. It's a team of about 14 people currently, and growing. I enjoy reading a lot, and recently started exercising. It's really fun. Look, as you guys might be aware, 2020, COVID-19, it's been very challenging, but nothing in particular changed except for maybe how we interact with people. Maybe it's from my perspective. As a manager at work, back in the days, you used to actually walk up to people. These days, you have to call, and how you connect with your employees, it's not as easy as it was. And currently, after completing my algo trading program, I've been experimenting with some of the tools and techniques, and I've done some not so bad things in the cryptocurrency space at my personal capacity, not at work. I enjoy the technology and the finance. That's basically where I spend most of my time on, if I'm not leading or managing people. That's basically. I've studied computer science and mathematics, and I've done some leadership courses along the way, and now including the algo trading, which is really fun. So in terms of education, as you can see, my first degree was in computer science and math. I enjoy the problem solving, working in a space where one solves problems. And one cannot meet, in this day and age, technology solves most of the problems. That being said, and also the calculations of the numbers, in my current job, that's basically what I do. Like, you calculate numbers on technology, or using technology, or using some technology. But now the other two certifications that I've done, the leadership as well as the project management, it came about that that one learns that eventually you have to coordinate a large number of people to achieve a project or an objective. And to me, it made sense that you learn how to lead people, and you learn how to coordinate projects. And that's how all of this came about. Now, getting into the investment banking world, I was actually initially in insurance, in actuarial. And then majority of the people that I have studied with, as well as the guys that I had tutored when I was still studying, ended up in investment banking. Majority of them were telling me that I need to come. They think I'll be successful there, I wasn't convinced initially, but then I joined a middle office team, which is, I don't know if you guys are aware of the segregation within an investment banking, where you have a front office, middle office, and then the back office, right? The front office is mainly trading element. The middle office is more quantitative calculations and all of that. And then back office, it's more finance, accounting, and all of that. So I started in middle office, which was more quantitative, working with traders and doing a lot of attribution, explaining the P&L movement, throughout the day, and doing projects in line with, the front office space. And then later, I enjoyed the coding aspect of the whole quantitative space. And I was asked to kind of lead a team in a front office technology space, which in this case really is looking after front office specifically from the tech point of view. And it was no brainer, because I enjoy the trading business, and I enjoy also the technology aspect. And to me, it just made sense that I take the role that I am currently occupying now. It's been fun. Of course, there are challenges here and there. Like initially I took the job for the love of the technology and the finance or the financial markets. But eventually, as a leader, as you grow, as more and more teams are added into your space, you spend more time leading, more than actually executing any of the, the code or like building stuff. So hence now, I chose to do the algo trading, which for me, it felt like that's actually the next thing that I will probably want to get into, from here, either utilizing it as a skill set within my current role, or maybe occupy more algo trading position, maybe within the same institution. But in my current institution, algo trading has not matured. I think it's still starting off, and there's a lot of undefined structures, if I could say. But I really wanted to get an understanding of, when someone's saying this is an algo trading desk, what do they mean? As a matter of fact, one of the guys, he was actually in middle office before, and then he moved into trading, and I was helping him to execute one of his algos, so basically doing the back testing on it. And he had also done the algo trading through you guys. It was quite fascinating, and I think that's how I came to know about it, and that's how I actually eventually wanted to do it, and then I did it. Now it's just really the application of it, of course, at a smaller scale, but hopefully in the future it will be more full-blown, where I get to exercise all of this. So basically the love for financial markets, the technology understanding, as well as the algo trading, which for me, I think that's something that will most likely be more fun. I think, working in an investment banking, sometimes there's more stress than fun. And, sometimes if you do things that you enjoy, it makes the whole stress lesser. There is probably some principles that governs the what you call the automation of trade execution, right? But I didn't know of any institution that was actually providing this kind of skill set, right? And then one of my colleagues was in the front office space, started, he actually studied with you guys directly, and that's how I kind of got to know that there is such a discipline that one can study, and I was actually fascinated by, when he came up with a strategy based on some data that we had in our trading system. and I was helping him basically to extract the data, to back test the strategy, and of course the implementation was not so clear, but in terms of the back testing and all of that got me very interested in the algo trading. And that's how I came to know about it. So basically, so before then, I mean, I had like built like algos that does like auto hedging as an example, but based on really a very simple, straightforward rules, right? But you know, I'd always wondered, I mean, is there a better way of achieving this? Is there a better way of you know, predicting the outcome of your algo before deploying it, right? And to me, when I heard about this and when I read about you know, this modules that you guys provide within the course, it made sense that this is actually something that I've always wanted to learn. And and I mean, like I said, I have been experimenting with it at the smaller scale. I mean, being a computer scientist, being a mathematician, having studied statistics and understanding some statistical, you know, what you call algos that you can use or apply to, you know, predict stuff. So, but it didn't make sense at the bigger picture. So to me, like this whole, and I don't know if you guys, I mean, of course there is an AI aspect in the course, but in the AI part of it, to me, it's really a combination of programming, which is computer science, mathematical principles, calculus and all, as well as the statistical models, basically. And combining the three, to me, it's really the algo trading. Of course, I mean, in collaboration with the trading aspect and understanding the P&L, the financial instrument, your derivatives. But in the past, it was never taught as one. Like, you know, it was like, oh yeah, you're doing computer science, therefore you're expected to program. You're doing statistics, you're therefore expected to understand some algos based on, you know, the statistical principles. You're doing math, you need to understand the calculations and a whole lot of other, you know, mathematical principles. But when you combine the four aspects, meaning your programming, computer science, your statistics, your mathematics, as well as the finance of trading, meaning the global market, the calculation of P&L, you know, the market moves, the trading of it, the understanding of how one gets to make money and lose money. You know, those were never taught as one in the past, but to me, it feels like through the algo trading, you actually have all of them as one. And those are the stuff that I had done in the past, either as an education thing or as a job, like within the investment banking space. I had knowledge of small components of the bigger picture, meaning the bigger picture being the algo trading. I had experienced this at the smaller scale, like where I mean, when I was in middle office, for instance, the calculation, the quantitative understanding of the trading, I had understood that. In my previous roles, you know, in technology and other spaces, I had understood, like, you know, programming and all of that. And then now when I took over the technology team within the investment banking, I mean, the whole thing just, you know, didn't combine, like where it looked like they're separate things. But you know, the algo trading made that challenge to become, you know, the reality, I would say. And one other challenging thing I would say in Africa, people are not as rich. Well, we're not poor. Let me just correct that. But I wouldn't go as far as saying we're rich. There is a huge gap between between the rich and the poor. And most of the courses that that are not local are very expensive, or I would say education in itself, it's not cheap, maybe from Africa's point of view. So that was one of the challenges, that a lot of this courses that are available out there for people to study. But I wouldn't go as far as saying we're rich. There is a huge gap between between the rich and the poor. And most of the courses that that are not local are very expensive, or I would say education in itself, it's not cheap, maybe from Africa's point of view. So that was one of the challenges, that a lot of this courses that are available out there for people to study. So I would tell you one thing that I think it was a selling point for me: the lifetime access to the content. Because I think it's quite crucial, in a sense that what we know now, it's probably not like all the knowledge there is for the future. And if there is a continual improvement on the content, and as the person that has studied the course, you still have access to the new material, then it means you actually still be up to scratch with the new concepts that are being introduced within the course. And also, it will be like most of the stuff don't make sense when you are studying them, but once you start applying them, that's when a lot of stuff that were like theory now comes to reality. And sometimes you want to go back and say, oh, I actually studied this somewhere, I just want to go revisit the actual fundamental principles. So for me, basically, in summary, the lifetime access is like quite nice. And also, as I said, the support with the finances was actually also a selling point. To me, it didn't come across as one of those courses where it's like, yeah, you have to pay, we're here to make money kind of thing. It came across as look, as much as we are running a business that has operational cost, but we want to get people to study this, and hence will probably help somehow financially. That was the second selling point. The other one really is, I like how the course is structured. First, in terms of how it's taught. The guys are really practical. They sound like the people who know what they're talking about. And as you can imagine, being someone who's in the trading floor, interacting with the guys that are trading the stuff, so you can imagine my understanding of trading and the whole global market business is quite rich. And sometimes when people try to teach you things from only theory while you actually are practicing the stuff, it gets boring. But in this case, it wasn't actually boring. It was, people were giving the lecturers were giving practical examples of their experiences, which to me made the difference. Because it's not like I'm saying, teach me how to value an option. I know how to value an option, both mathematically as well as the system administration aspect of it and how it's traded. But if you're giving me examples of what you have experienced, then I get to learn from that. And that was one selling point. And then the other, I would say, this recording of the lectures, it's actually quite cool in a sense that, I mean, as a family person, sometimes you don't have time to attend the sessions on weekends. But if there is a recording, you're able to go in there and get to experience the same kind of thing that other people would have experienced to attend the session. So yeah, those are the points. So I've been doing a lot of cryptocurrency, specifically the arbitrage. I've actually implemented some algos that are trading on regular basis to look for arbitrage opportunities in the cryptocurrency markets and looking for patterns, across the trading exchanges, which is really, really cool and very useful. I mean, I've started this in 2017, and we're here in 2020, so it's really been fun in the cryptocurrency space, and hopefully someday I'll probably start an algo trading desk based on the cryptocurrency.
Wow, we wish you the best for that. And just to understand, John, so during the pandemic, there was quite a bump in the market. So I hope things are all right with you.
Well, yes, they were good in a sense that the cryptocurrency was doing well, right? This was really by default, and also most of my algos were purely based on the actual long position kind of thing, right? Where the assumption is the crypto market will continue to go up, even though there will be like some corrections along the way. When there are corrections, you sell, and then when there is an upswing, you buy, kind of setup. And as you can imagine, so the algo was just chilling while the market is going up, keep on going up. So yeah, I know it sounds funny, but that's basically what happened the past 1 year. I think, look, 2020 was good for cryptocurrencies. Maybe not necessarily so good for other markets, but my belief has always been good traders will make money in spite of the direction. So there is a lot of talks on the regulation, but my view is, look, if the government or any government, regulates blockchain or cryptocurrency, they are actually acknowledging that it is part of the future, right? It's no longer just another new technology. So for me, I'm saying, sure, let them do it. In this case, then we can build legitimate businesses on it, right? I mean, people are making money on this stuff, and there's a lot of, international institutions that are already involved in it. Most of them get involved to manipulate the market, right? And then they kind of really bully the small guy, in that market. But once we have the regulator, then we have a big brother that when a small guy gets bullied, he can always cry to someone else and say, hey, you have the regulation against this kind of behavior. So that's the upside to it. But the downside to it is whenever the governments get involved, usually they slow down innovation in the space, right? You find that it's no longer worth it to probably start a cryptocurrency exchange, because now you can't charge certain fees, or there's certain activities that you can't do. Of course, we want the flexibility of, like some sort of a supervision from the government, but also at the same time allow for the smarter guy to benefit, as opposed to you coming with the stick and saying, you're too smart, stop it, kind of thing, To me, everything starts with, the passion for something. Of course, if you don't know about something, you probably would not be passionate about it. But I would say start somewhere. Like, I mean, if you look at my story, right, it was really getting involved in bits and pieces of the bigger picture, meaning the actual algo trading, but I was doing more in actuarial space when I was working for an insurance company. It was more mathematical calculation of things in that space. Then I moved to middle office, which is sort of like an introduction to markets. And then now, full-blown technology space, right? My recommendation would be start somewhere, either get a job within an investment bank or capital market space. In Africa right now, jobs are rare. If that can work, probably, read up and probably in a smaller scale, start trading just to understand the basic fundamentals of buying and selling of financial instruments. It's quite key in a way. And I mean, I wouldn't recommend anyone to jump into the algo trading before they have experimented or maybe at least understood the basic understanding of how a P&L is calculated, for instance. Like, what does that actually even mean, right? So to me, is if anyone wants to do algo trading, start first by getting a job, or start by trading from your side. My strongest belief is learning is doing. If you don't get your hands dirty, you would probably not learn. Even if you learn by reading a book, you probably forget if you don't put that into practice.